Tonight, close calls.
44, stop.
With dozens of them on America's runways this year alone, the NTSB calls for an early warning system before it's too late. I'm Katie Couric in Nashville, Tennessee. Also tonight, a warning from the chairman of the Fed. The economy's heading for a slowdown as consumers put the brakes on spending.
I want to shock the American people to reality.
One man's plan to stop childhood obesity in its tracks.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric reporting tonight from Nashville.
Good evening, everyone. From the volunteer state, America's runways are more crowded than ever, and they're dangerous. In fact, the National Transportation Safety Board today said close calls on those runways are the #1 threat to the safety of air travelers. So far this year, there have been 24 close calls, serious enough for the NTSB to investigate. There were 31 last year. The agency says only luck prevented these incidents from turning into disasters, and it warns that unless action is taken, that luck could run out. Here's our transportation correspondent, Nancy Cordes.
Listen to the panic in the controller's voice in this new animation of a close call in Fort Lauderdale in July.
44, stop.
It was released today by the NTSB.
307 people dodged a bullet that day by 230 feet.
That was 459 Washington ground, push spot 2.
With busy controllers trying to keep track of more planes than ever before, the NTSB warned today that conditions are ripe for a runway accident. It says the FAA isn't moving fast enough to put a system in place that would automatically alert pilots when they're on a collision course.
It is time to do something before we have to investigate an accident that is catastrophic and explain to the families that technologies are out there to begin to prevent this thing from happening.
We got a first-hand look at that technology.
500, we're cleared to low approach, 3 Golf Charlie.
On this demonstration flight above the main airport in Syracuse, New York.
We're about 2 miles now from the end of the runway.
As we come in for a landing, another demo plane strays onto the runway. Radar detects the conflict, and a voice alert is sent to our plane.
Runway occupied.
Okay, so that's the alert.
And the one on the ground.
Converging traffic.
We abort the landing and go around.
How much time does it take?
Well, I would say at minimum 5 to 10 seconds, and it could be as long as 30 seconds or more.
30 seconds would have given the pilots in this near miss in San Francisco more breathing room.
5741, hold.
It was in May. A Republic Airlines jet barely missed a SkyWest plane that had just landed. Honeywell and Census Corporation, which developed the system, say it will take at least 3 years to implement. This fall, the FAA began making quicker fixes, better runway markings at more than 200 airports.
We're getting good results. Like anything, there's no one big silver bullet. It's paint on taxiways, it's signage at certain airports.
Still, the NTSB isn't satisfied. It points out the deadliest accident in aviation history was a runway incursion. 30 years ago in Tenerife, Spain, 2 747s collided, killing nearly 600 people. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Syracuse, New York.
Another big safety risk these days is tired pilots, linked to 7 airline crashes since 1990. Since 2003, there have been at least 6 reported cases in which pilots fell asleep in mid-flight. Right now, a pilot's workday can last 16 hours. The airlines, the pilots' unions, and the federal government have discussed ways to lighten the workload, but so far, they haven't been able to agree on a plan. And a warning today of a different kind, this one about the economy. It grew a healthy 3.9% in the third quarter, but the chairman of the Federal Reserve predicted today that future growth will be, quote, noticeably slower. And as Anthony Mason reports, one reason is Americans are spending less.
Never mind the snowflakes, it isn't beginning to look anything like Christmas in America's stores, with their empty aisles and idle cashiers. Retailers just reported their worst October in more than a decade. At Macy's, sales fell 1.5%. JCPenney and Kohl's also slumped, and The Gap, the largest clothing retailer in the country, saw business off 8%.
This is what I call hesitation holiday. This is when the consumer is not going to rush into stores to buy unless the prices are so attractive that they can't resist.
At a Dallas Target, Bill Robinson says that's his strategy.
And we'll wait until, the last minute to see what we really need, what we really can't afford.
Unseasonably warm weather may be discouraging shoppers, but rising gas prices and slumping house values could keep them away this holiday season and tip a troubled economy into recession. On Capitol Hill today, Senator Charles Schumer asked Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke point blank.
Is a recession out of the question?
Economists are extremely bad at predicting turning points, and we don't pretend to be any better. We have not calculated a probability of recession.
But some economists say the odds are rising.
Wall Street and American capitalism are suffering a crisis of confidence.
A crisis of confidence from foreign investors losing faith in the U.S. economy and selling the dollar, which tumbled again today. And a crisis in housing that's only deepening.
Unless we deal with the subprime crisis and the dollar, we can't save the economy from a recession.
So after yesterday's 300-point tumble, Wall Street had another volatile day.
And I think when people begin to see a little light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully it is light and not a train coming at us, I think you'll see the psychology change.
And the Dow, which at one point today was down another 200 points, rallied and ended with a modest loss. But it was still another losing day here on Wall Street. Katie?
Anthony Mason, thanks so much. In other news, there's a thick film of fuel oil moving through San Francisco Bay tonight after a ship ran into the Bay Bridge and began leaking. Globs of oil are washing up on beaches, and officials are very concerned about the birds that make the Bay Area their home. John Blackstone has the latest from San Francisco.
In a place famous for its scenery, the view today was troubling. Crews working to contain thousands of gallons of oil spilled into San Francisco Bay. It's already too late for some birds. While rescue teams have found only a few oiled birds so far, the rich abundance of waterfowl on the bay means there could be plenty of trouble ahead.
Right now is we're dealing with the #1 problem, which is the floating oil that continues to move around the bay.
In thick fog yesterday, a container ship hit a support on the San Francisco Bay Bridge, ripping a gash in its fuel tank. The spill was originally reported as 500 gallons, but turned out to be 58,000. The Coast Guard says that didn't slow the cleanup.
Well, we mobilized as if it was a big spill right away.
Some oil is washing up around Alcatraz. The old prison and tourist attraction is also an important bird habitat. The job of containing the oil has been made more complicated by the strong tides and currents in the bay. Some oil has already been spotted at beaches outside the Golden Gate. Cleanup crews face a messy task. The low-grade bunker fuel washes ashore in sticky lumps. At least 16 beaches have been closed. There's also concern about what the spill is releasing into the air. Finding anything so far?
Well, as you can see on the meter, it's zeros, and when I just took a sample.
That's one bit of good news, but with so many beaches and birds threatened, cleanup crews aren't breathing easy yet. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
Overseas, more protests in Pakistan on day 6 of the state of emergency there, but President Musharraf appears at least ready to take some small steps toward restoring democracy. Sheila McVicker has the latest from Islamabad.
After days of silence and U.S. pressure, Pakistan's military leader announced something of a plan. It was light on details.
Elections must be held as soon as possible. I have never been in doubt. I must remove my uniform.
Elections by February 15th, said General Musharraf, and no date for him to resign his military command. President Bush's message?
You can't be the president and the head of the military at the same time.
The immediate threat comes from opposition leader Benazir Bhutto and her ability to put many thousands on the streets. Bhutto holds a mass rally tomorrow that will almost certainly end in confrontation. Musharraf's words tonight not nearly enough to head that protest off. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, Islamabad.
Also overseas, a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed today while on a training mission in northern Italy. At least 5 of the 11 crew members on board were killed. The chopper broke apart and burned after going down in a grassy field. No one on the ground was hurt, and it's not known what caused the crash. There is much more CBS News ahead. Up next, a place where skipping phys ed will not be an option as our Forced to Be Fit series continues. Back now from Nashville. Let's face it, every parent hopes to provide a better life for his or her children. But a recent study suggests the next generation may not live as well or as long as we will. According to the National Institutes of Health, the life expectancy of Americans could drop by 2 to 5 years in future decades. The main reason? Obesity. In one state, they're trying to buck the trend by returning to mandatory gym class. Cynthia Bowers wraps up our series, Forced to Be Fit.
The game these suburban Dallas middle school students are playing in gym class is called chaos. But nothing about their exercise regimen is being left to chance. That's because they're about to become part of a revolutionary experiment to shape up America's kids.
They call this the milking machine.
Back in the 1960s, when PE was part of every day and fast food wasn't, only 4% of 6 to 19-year-olds were overweight or obese. Today, 17% are. And 80% of those chubby adolescents will grow up to be overweight adults.
It is truly, I believe, going to be the most serious health problem we face as a nation if we don't do something about it.
Jane Nelson says dire predictions that suggest by 2025, 48% of Texans will be overweight were enough to help her persuade fellow lawmakers to take drastic measures. Beginning next spring, Texas will become the first state in the nation to require at least 30 minutes a day of PE and require all 4 million 3rd through 12th graders to undergo a series of annual fitness tests to see how they compare now and later to other kids their age.
Do you think that's a good idea? Yes, because then everyone can get measured to see how fit everyone is and how far they have to go.
I frequently use the word aerobics.
The tests are the brainchild of the man who 40 years ago introduced Americans to aerobics. Dr. Kenneth Cooper has pretty much given up on the adult generation, but says it's not too late to try and save the next one.
Can we do this in children? I think we can. I think one of these days that'll be my legacy. Not aerobics, but what we can do in Texas, going to spread across this country, perhaps around the world.
Cooper believes not only will the kids lose weight, he thinks he can prove that kids who are in better shape perform better in the classroom and are better behaved. But the question remains, can you force kids to be fit? Can you legislate fitness for any age group?
We can make sure that our children are getting a dose of physical activity every day. We can do that.
Valerie Garcia is ready. The El Paso 7th grader wrote Senator Nelson a letter asking for help. And your words are, Valerie, I am overweight and would like to not be obese. Why did you write that?
Because I really feel like if there's a girl behind a big, huge girl that I would like to show everybody else.
Can anybody force you to be fit, Valerie, or do you have to make that decision yourself?
I think I have to make that decision myself.
Valerie says she's already lost 15 pounds by cutting out junk food and exercising more. The state is hoping its new plan will help other kids arrive at the same conclusion. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, El Paso, Texas.
Good for her. Coming up next, Obama 2.0. Same candidate, edgier campaign. Back again from Nashville, we reported last night that former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik is facing criminal charges, and tonight CBS News has confirmed he has been indicted and will surrender tomorrow to federal authorities. The charges are expected to include tax fraud. Kerik served as police commissioner under then-Mayor Rudy Giuliani. In the presidential campaign, Democrat Barack Obama is trying to shed his nice guy image as he crisscrosses Iowa. The caucuses there are just 8 weeks from today, and the latest poll shows he's neck and neck with Senator Clinton, with John Edwards running third. Dean Reynolds has tonight's Campaign 08 report.
The crowds are enthusiastic, and the candidate is pumped.
Are you fired up? Ready to go?
A week of mostly positive press coverage, a star turn last Saturday night.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
And a tougher, more competitive tone in the debates and on the stump have convinced the senator there's a chance now to reshape his political destiny.
This is an area I've got strong disagreements with Senator Clinton on. Just remember who got it right and who got it wrong. I've got a disagreement with Senator Clinton.
For Obama, the rollout is over and the rumble is on.
It's changed the dynamic in the race. People liked what they were hearing from me, but they didn't have a sense that there were significant differences between myself and Senator Clinton.
At stop after stop, Obama is trying to draw ever sharper distinctions between himself and Senator Clinton on Iraq, on Iran, on immigration, and who could better unite the country. Voters are taking notice.
You know, he is sharpening himself and honing himself, and I do think that that is more effective than playing Mr. Nice Guy all the time.
But it's not a risk-free strategy.
The question is whether Senator Obama is going to be comfortable attacking, and in fact, the more he attacks, whether that causes some damage in his reputation and his image and, frankly, in his message.
Thank you!
Obama says playing it safe is for others. Senator Clinton, for example.
I don't falter for that. That is how people have been taught politics in Washington. That's the conventional wisdom, right? You make yourself a small target by avoiding being definitive about anything.
Fired up! Democrats have tried that before, he says, and lost. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Ottumwa, Iowa.
And one more presidential note, as many as 80,000 artifacts are missing from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California. Investigators are looking into allegations of theft by a former employee, but they say they're having a tough time because of sloppy record keeping. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric in Nashville. I'll see you tomorrow from New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com. Brought to you in part by Thermacare. Don't let painful arthritis flare-ups change the way you see things. With new Thermacare Arthritis Heat Wraps, you'll get 12 hours of heat for relief that lasts all day. New Thermacare Arthritis Heat Wraps, available for hand, knee, neck, and shoulder.